Okay, so get situated here a little better. Why are you laughing, bro?
Hi.
What? Yeah, Papa's recording, Ashley. Yeah, Wolf Street. Gotta do another one here. Talking about, I just saw an article on Zero Hedge. I didn't do a video on it, where it's talking about the used car sales prices are almost like at a kind of an all-time high. Like people are really fetching a nice premium for their used cars. And I thought to myself, well, it's kind of a no-brainer as to why. Brand new cars are extremely expensive, out of control expensive, and all they're doing is saying, oh, well, here's an 8-year loan, here's a 9-year loan, here's a new 10-year loan, just to keep the payments where you need them. So there's an interesting chart here. I don't need to show it, but I'll tell you about it. This is from Wolf Street. Average age of cars and light trucks in operation. So back in 1971, 2, 3, there was a average age between, again, between light trucks and cars, just call it 6 to 7 years old, operating. Anything older than that wasn't really operating. So they didn't last as long, you could say. People were, in other words, not necessarily lasting long, but people were, well, let me go get a new car, right? They're affordable, so I've had my car for 6 or 7 years, I'll go get a new one. That's all. That number has now jumped to almost 12 years, between 11 and 12 right now, over the last few years, 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And the chart just goes like this. It's just a nice steady inclination. Why? Because cars are more expensive, used or new, doesn't matter, especially new. But they're, again, 8-year loans, 10-year loans, freaking car. The hell, this is ridiculous. Well, you need $300 a month payments, don't you? Yeah, but that doesn't mean you get to charge me $1 million for a car. Like what the? Anyways, average age of cars and trucks by household income and vehicle type over time. A deep dive based on the report by the Federal Highway Administration for 2017 compared to 2009. When I entered the auto industry in 1985, there was a lot of hand-wringing about the average age of vehicles in operation in the U.S. After a brutal recession, it had jumped to 7.9 years from 6.9 years in 1980. Why? Because obviously people would hang on to their cars a little longer before getting a new one if you're in a recession, right? It makes sense. But everyone knew consumers would trade their old clunkers for new vehicles. It would bring the average age back to normal. That was the myth of pent-up demand. For a while, the average age hovered just below 8 years. Trucks getting older and cars, the dominant vehicle type at the time, getting a little bit younger. But in 1992, the average age rose to 8.1 years. And by 2017, it reached 11.7 years. This chart shows the average age by car and truck, SUVs, whatever. Note the difference between the two categories has disappeared. So there used to be a little bit of a line of, a little bit of space between cars and trucks. Now they're almost pretty much neck and neck. So it doesn't matter the type of vehicle, basically, which again supports the data of just cars, whatever, trucks generally are getting higher and higher priced, like crazy. The above data, hang on one second. Just checking out, someone sent me a little email. Just checking on something. So the above data of the average age of vehicles in operation is based on registrations. There's a second and slightly different but more detailed data set that tracks vehicles owned by U.S. households based on a survey of households that the Federal Highway Administration conducts periodically. It just released the 2017 results. It has conducted 8 of these surveys since 1969. The prior survey was for 2009, conducted shortly before the Cash for Clunker program removed a generation of the oldest vehicles on the road. The Energy Department's EIA compared the 2017 results to those of 2009. The average age of vehicles owned by households increased from 9.3 years in 2009 to 10.5 years in 2017. And the EIA produced the chart below that shows the age distribution for vehicles owned by households in 2009. Which I'm not going to show you. And 2017. For example, in 2009, about 7% of the vehicles were 5 years old. I marked this with a red dot and a red line. In 2017, only 5.8% of the vehicles were 5 years old, but in 2017 there were more vehicles in the age group of 10 years and older than in 2009. And this relationship went nearly all the way out toward the end of the tail. In both years, vehicles that were 25 years old accounted for less than 1% of vehicles owned by households. The classic distinction between cars and trucks that still haunts auto industry reporting has now become largely meaningless, as trucks include most vehicle types that Americans drive: SUVs, compact SUVs, which are essentially cars that are a little higher off the ground, pickups, and minivans. So the EIA split out the average age by more meaningful vehicle types. The average age rose in all vehicle types between '09 and 2017, ranging from an increase of 0.4 years, or half a year, for other light trucks to an increase of 2.4 years for pickups. The average age for other light trucks is quite something. An average age of 18.2 years means that a considerable portion of these vehicles are over 25 years old. The next chart is very intuitive. Vehicle age by household income. But note, even those households making over 100K reported that the average age of their vehicles rose from 7.3 years in 2009 to 8.9 years in 2017. In fact, since 2009, the difference in average vehicle age between low-income households and high-income households has narrowed from 4.6 years in 2009 to 4.1 years in 2017. As in 1985, the industry is still fretting about this average age. It translated into lost sales for automakers, but this is largely a result of improved quality. Vehicles last a lot longer than they used to. A well-maintained 10-year-old vehicle with 150,000 miles on it today can look very good and have practically no problems, and getting rid of it is mostly a question of preference and not of necessity. And then it might be replaced with a recent model used vehicle. And there's another reason for the aging of the U.S. vehicle fleet: prices of new vehicles. This has ignited a boom in the vast used vehicle market in the U.S. as affordability challenges hit new vehicles. Consumers switch to used vehicles, prices spike to record, and inflation psychology sets in. So, for a second, I thought he was not going to mention that last part, because I'm like, that's a huge part of this. So, anyways, I understand some of the economies look good, Trump, jobs, this and that, but we got some high-priced cars, we got some high-priced housing, we've got less disposable income, and this is a problem that must be dealt with. And we've never dealt with any of these problems. We've just put band-aids over these little things, and now we have this interesting system built upon band-aid after band-aid with no real fixes in place. How does this end? Hint, not good. Take care.